What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So after the news of the big Xbox shakeup with Phil Spencer out and Asha Sharma in, there have been a lot of questions as to what exactly is going to happen here. Well, now we do have a response from the new incoming CEO of Microsoft Gaming, and we'll see exactly what she had to say here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a big-time update for what's shaping up to be Sony's real holiday game next to, of course, GTA 6, and we also had that Nintendo Treehouse happen yesterday. It did go on for, 80 minutes, but I had a few things I wanted to pick from that presentation around, sure, Mario Brothers Wonder, but certainly this Pokopia game. All that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Guys, we're here every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, going over the world of gaming news, trying to keep you up to date. So even if you don't get a notification for a video, just know there's probably still one here for you in the morning. And we're going to start today with the upcoming closed beta for Horizon Hunters Gathering. We can see this is over on Sony's website. They do have the playtest times and the dates that are outlined here. You do need to sign up and just kind of throw your name in the hat for the PlayStation beta program. Just signing up, though, doesn't necessarily mean you'll get in. They're just going to be picking people, I guess. I'm not sure how many people they're going to pick for this, but you may as well go ahead and sign up if you wanted to try this game out, as that will be starting February 27th and will run until March 1st. So you basically have this weekend coming up. The playtest times that they have here, they have 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time, all right, for those different days. PS5 and PC, they'll be doing that through Steam with the supported languages. Right now, they have English only. They have some of the things you can expect here with 3 playable hunters, 2 game modes, 1 explorable environment, and access to the Gathering, which is a shared social space, including campsite customization. They didn't go over system requirements for PC, and that was something I was a little curious about, only because that could give us an idea as to, I guess, where this is going to sit even in like the wider realm of PC gaming, as games that tend to kind of have this sort of art style can target lower end or lower spec PCs. And I think that will be very, very important for Sony, who's trying to cast a wide net here in this live service space. So something to keep an eye on there. But otherwise, yeah, if you want to try it out, sign up. And I guess we'll see some impressions coming out of the weekend for Horizon Hunters Gathering. Also, Fallout 4 did release on the Switch too, and people were kind of curious about it, maybe a little concerned, unsure if they should throw the money in here on a whim just to see how it turns out on the system. In terms of the technical side, I think by now people know if they like Fallout 4 or not, because it's been around for so long. I'm sure they've seen impressions, reviews, or even just gameplay streams for the thing. But here's the interesting part. It's actually it's a pretty good port, it seems, right now for the Switch 2 with some early impressions. And in fact, they went a bit farther. So they do have a 60 FPS mode where it targets 60 FPS, but it's probably gonna bounce around depending on what's happening or where you are in the world, especially with more condensed areas. But then it also has a 40 FPS mode, and I think this is a great idea, and I would like to see more developers here as we go through the Switch 2's generation, target that 40 FPS middle ground. I mean, the screen in handheld mode can do 120 hertz, which works out very well for 40 FPS, and we're seeing more and more TVs ship that can support the 120 hertz mode that would work with that 40 FPS. So I think that's a great idea, and for the most part, the game looks good in quality mode, which then caps you at 30, and then the other is it's again, dependent on where you are and how much detail you need, I don't know, for a character's face or something, because at 60 FPS, some of them looked a little blurry, but for the most part, I mean, it seems like a good port. Now, the price, you'll have to decide. It's like 60 bucks or so. I mean, later on, I'm sure it'll go on sale, but at least right now, early impressions, it's looking like a pretty good port. Oh, and do you remember how that Final Fantasy VII 2013 PC edition was delisted and it was getting replaced with a new one? Well, now we at least have some details as to what, I guess, was being added here. This we can see over on Komatsu, and they're citing the press release that was put out there by Square with the following extra features being included: 3 times speed mode, so you can, I guess, play through the game very, very quickly, ability to turn off battle encounters, and there's a battle enhancement mode, which activate this mode to recover HP and MP during battles, and max out the limit gauge. There's also an autosave feature. Otherwise, though, I'm not really 100% sure on this one. If you already had the older version on Steam, it should have been replaced, I guess, with this one, so you can try it out for yourself there. But otherwise, again, I'm sure there will be some early impressions as this rolls out to people's Steam accounts. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Xbox. The big shakeup that happened. Phil Spencer out, Asha Sharma in. People really unsure as to what's even going on there, with the first weekend happening, where she's all over the place on social media responding, at least we think it's her, responding to people about a gamer tag that she shared, and she was surprised that that blew up online, which she's in for a rude awakening when she starts seeing how gaming is, we'll say, with the community is online when it comes to social media and and player history and gamer tags and stuff. But with that in mind, there have been a lot of questions and really just curiosity as to what's next for Xbox. What's the direction here? A lot of the same that we've already seen, or are they going to do a massive pivot here? And yes, the exclusives thing is actually being floated, which is interesting to see how that would even be approached internally and pitched to Satya Nadella himself. But let's take a look. Now, this is over on Windows Central. Jez Corden had a very, very good write-up where he was able to talk to Asha Sharma and Matt Booty, or the two people you'd want to talk to now at Xbox, as they're basically running the show now with Microsoft Gaming. But he did ask quite a few questions here, and I just wanted to go over some of the, I guess, the big talking points that I really took from this, starting with, we can see, return to Xbox. That's the big thing that was floating around on headlines. That's what Asha Sharma wants to do first and foremost. And to her, she says, this means returning to the spirit of surprise. Remember, she said the word renegade at one point, building something nobody else is willing to try. And if you go back to the start of the original direct Xbox, we can say, but just Xbox way back when, it was sort of this ragtag group that broke away from Microsoft and some of their technology divisions. They just wanted to make a console, and they stripped down Windows so that it ran like what you would use on a console for the limited needs out of an OS on a game system, and they ended up pitching it, presenting it, and hey, we got Xbox. So I guess going back to those roots, that's the best takeaway I can get here. But I do like the idea of trying something nobody else is willing to try, although they did that kind of with Game Pass and Day One games, and it hasn't gone great for their console, which then translates over not great for the gaming division, all right? Emphasized commitment to Xbox hardware. Announcements are coming soon, and this is still the big thing to me, right? It should all come back to the console. And for a while, they put the console, not even second fiddle, like third or fourth fiddle. Like they were talking about cloud more than console there for a while. They were telling you that anything and everything around you was an Xbox. They got to get back to square one, and they got to kind of pump up their hardware. Will that be possible going into the next generation where they may have a $1,000 system? That's a challenge. That is absolutely a challenge. This was a specific answer that she gave that really got a lot of emphasis online, saying right now I need to learn candidly about the why of these decisions, kind of referring to some of the decisions that have been made before she got there, about the why of these decisions and what we were optimizing for and what the data says about the Xbox strategy today. That's the honest answer. I'm looking at lifetime value, not just what happened in a previous moment or in short-term efficiencies and things like that. The plan's the plan until it's not the plan. So people read that and said, wait a minute. The plan right now are like no exclusives. They're just putting games on the PlayStation 5, on the Switch 2. PC's kind of just at this. Like if you release a game on PlayStation 5, like the new Kena game that's coming up, it's on PlayStation, on PC, but people still look at that as, oh, that's PlayStation. So I think now you can just Xbox, PC, it's all Windows, right? So who really cares? That's the idea going into next generation. It's certainly been this shift to, oh, we're putting a lot of stuff, just about everything, on PlayStation as well as Xbox and PC. That's kind of thrown things through a loop here and has really, I would say, kind of killed the idea of even trying to sell a $650 Xbox Series X. This is like out the window now. The competition with the PS5 is cheaper, and it's getting things like Fable or Forza Horizon. So it just kind of ruins the reason, or the why, I guess. So people are wondering, wait a minute, the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. Does that mean they could go back to exclusives? I'm not sure how they would do that, but I guess that it says nothing's off the table. It's possible. I do think one of the things they'd have to really consider is trying to bring back more of the buying power to the digital storefront, which means they may have to readjust Game Pass. I think it's just too expensive at $30, and people may find a lot of value with the day one games going in, but it's also just too expensive for most people, the mainstream, I'd say, out there who are much more interested in it when it was $10. So maybe those day one releases would have to go by the wayside. The exclusive thing, though, that would be an interesting day online if they actually went back to that. Now, Matt Booty also had a few things to say, specifically that their studio structure is built around being first party, not built to just be a publisher. And this is very important because when these games come out from a first-party standpoint, they typically have access to the hardware very early on. So they already know what, say, the next Xbox system would be good at, where maybe some of its weaknesses lie that they had to... There's give and take, right? To hit a certain price point. And a lot of the times, it's the CPU is weak, but the GPU is actually quite strong in terms of the CPU versus GPU combo. So they can hone in on certain things, or maybe they are going to just a full SSD as we did this past generation. They can utilize that much more than they previously with a spinning disk drive. So because of this, they are set up more with their technology divisions working hand in hand with their game divisions to, yes, be first party and not necessarily be a publisher. As in, if they went full publishing, they would probably have to cut a lot of their studios and workforce that are there specifically for the hardware, of course. Now, he also says there's no pressure for Microsoft to use AI. The teams are free to use any technology that might be beneficial. And you don't really need a mandate to use AI. Like, they don't have to say, hey, you have to use AI, but they can still kind of lean on you. Hey, it would be nice if Copilot had a couple extra people using it in this division specifically. And they can sort of suggest things to you like, hey, it took you a little while to write that email. If Copilot did it, would have taken 10 seconds instead of a minute. So there are ways they can suggest it to you and not actually mandate it. So I think that's also very important to realize. But at least here he's saying, look, they're not forcing AI into these development studios. It's still very much are humans making games. And then to close out, Asha Sharma specifically says proof over promises. And I mean, a lot of the Xbox division for quite some time has indeed been run on promises that have been hyped up. So that's kind of where I am now. It's like, great, okay, they're shaking things up, that maybe they have a new mindset or they do want to do massive pivots within Xbox. One, it's going to be a while before we see it. Matt Booty even says that here. Hey, it's going to be a bit. All right, don't expect it tomorrow. Probably end of the year, 25th anniversary for Xbox. Maybe we'll see a presentation that starts to at least give us an idea as to where they're heading, especially for next generation. But they indeed would have to prove it to show that they are serious. Because right now, people believe that Ash Sharma's being brought in to just shutter Xbox. I kind of think that'd be a waste of her time just based on her past history, since they could have just promoted Matt Booty and said, hey, you know what? Do what you can, but if you have to, go down with the ship and then we'll work on severance packs or whatever. So I think she's kind of being brought in as let's see if we can actually turn this thing around. And now you got to kind of prove it rather than promise it. So we'll see. Next up, let's talk about a release date that has now been announced for, what's shaping up to be right now Sony's big holiday game, of course, next to GTA 6, which is going to be massive for the PlayStation 5 and just gaming. We know that. But a lot of companies are trying to get out in front of GTA 6, and that includes Wolverine, who I thought this whole thing would have been maybe announced during that State of Play. It wasn't. They even specifically said, hey, we'll talk more in the spring. Apparently until yesterday when they put this out, you can see, from Insomniac saying, let's cut to the chase. Marvel's Wolverine launches September 15th, 2026. That's a Tuesday, by the way. Interesting. But I'm actually quite happy about this because that's a little earlier than I was expecting. I thought maybe October. I figured either way, they want to jump out ahead of GTA 6. I think right now Sony's thinking, hey, we're going to clear the way for GTA 6. And they might be thinking, you got to get your game out middle of October or before. And they're like, hey, here we go, Wolverine, September 15th. So this is a good setup here for them. Again, ahead of the big blockbuster Rockstar GTA 6 title. But now we're also starting to see their year get set up. I think there's still some gaps they can fill in, but we have Marathon March 5th coming up here pretty soon. Then we have Sorrows, that's April 30th. Marvel Tokon, that's August 6th. And then it rolls right into Wolverine. So you can see there's a spot in there really kind of over the summer that they could drop something in, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did. Now, we are still expecting more information for Wolverine, sometime in the spring. That's what they said originally, and I assume there is going to be a full-on state of play because there is still a lot of information around this game that we need to see. I'm sure there's also some big-time character reveals, whether it's enemies or allies, and I do think, looking at this, for Insomniac, of course, they've done Spider-Man, which very, very good games, and we're expecting a Spider-Man 3, as that was already leaked out there. But this seems like their pathway into their own, like, Marvel gaming universe. We have the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Marvel gaming universe, and I think that's what we're going to see here, as we're probably going to see this move into X-Men and some other stuff, so Spider-Man might get worked in there. There's a lot of really cool things they can do as they work towards almost like an Avengers-style setup for a game sometime in the far future. That also means that, yes, Insomniac is turning into the Marvel studio, but it's big money. Like, the amount of money, yes, that goes to Disney is, but like they have tons of potential right out of the gate because they have such strong brand recognition for Spider-Man, Wolverine, X-Men, and so on, that they immediately have a lot of eyes on them. I mean, just them putting this out there, hey, release day September 15th, millions and millions of views and impressions on social media and a lot of excitement. And I am really curious to see how they tackle Wolverine, which they showed us some, but really it was just to emphasize, this is still Wolverine, it's gonna be hyper-violent. And that was the first box that we had to tick. Now we need to hear more about the gameplay loop, progression, the story, the setting, everything else around that. So here's hoping they have more to talk about, maybe in like, I'm thinking, so Saros is April, maybe May? Maybe right around there is when they start talking more and more about Wolverine, showing it off in a state of play and getting everyone really, really excited for September. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about that Nintendo Treehouse that aired yesterday, and it was about 80 minutes. It was probably 30% Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition and 70% Pokopia. And really all I took out of that Mario Wonder bit where they were playing a lot of the multiplayer stuff is, man, even on an official Nintendo stream and setting, they still get connection unstable when playing Mario or any of these multiplayer games online. And I mean, what can you do? It's Nintendo. It's just, they're going to complete the overall impression that people have of Nintendo's online servers, and it's going to be unstable apparently on their own official stream. But either way, I mean, it's Mario Wonder. If you've played it, it's like, oh, this is cool. There's some actual multiplayer, not necessarily the ghost multiplayer stuff that they included in the original game. And it being a Switch 2 edition, I'm sure it'll look cleaner and run better, sure. But I was going into this more thinking about Pokopia. That's coming out March 5th, so next week. And, you know, the more I've been seeing this game, I don't think it's a game that I'm necessarily, like, I don't think it's a game really for me. All right, like, I'm not a big Minecraft person or anything like that. I think Dragon Quest Builders might be the closest I get within proximity of that genre, but this does look like it's heavily tapping into the Minecraft scene. So much so that when I'm looking at it, I go, man, that's very close. There are a couple times they're navigating around the multiplayer map, and if you didn't have the Pokopia, the Ditto character there in the scene, you might like blink and be like, wait, is this, no, okay, this isn't Minecraft, right? It's close. And so they showed off some of the single player, the story mode, and it looks fine enough, but for the most part, it kind of looks like it's just showing you the ropes to eventually get to multiplayer, which I do think is going to be the big driving force around Pokopia. The idea of going online, playing with friends, and having that persistent island kind of experience, that persistent world experience, where you guys create one, and the host doesn't have to be there. People can come in and out, constantly come and go, and work on that world, where Pokemon are also coming and going, and it actually seems like a really cool idea to mix Minecraft with Pokemon. So again, I don't think this game I'm really going to check out much, but I do see a lot of potential, and it wouldn't shock me if this ended up being like a big viral thing online with streamers and stuff, and they're just playing it and having fun. So it's something to keep an eye on there. Let me know your thoughts around Pokopia, especially if you did stick around and watch like 60 minutes of this thing. People in the chat, by the way, for the Treehouse seemed very confused what they were there for. It's like they told you the 2 games they were going to play, and they really just sat there and played them. Some people were like, where's the 3D Mario? It's like, guys, this is the Treehouse. Mario Day is next month. Let's get there and see what we have first, okay? And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you picking up Wolverine when it releases in September? 58% say no, 42% say yes. I saw many people in the comments say, where's the maybe option? Some were saying, I gotta see more information about it first. I just wanted to see right now a clear-cut yes or no answer for people who are bought in early because we do still need to see more about it. And I'm going to run the poll again after we get more information in a state of play of some kind where they really go all in and show off a ton about the game and see if maybe the perception or idea around buying it has shifted a bit. So just wanted to see where we are just from the hype alone of a Wolverine game, and it's already almost it's almost 50-50 there as it is. So yeah, again, the Marvel hype is there for games. It just, you have superheroes, video games, it goes together very, very well as it is. And we'll finish up with the comments of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Shogun, who says, let's be honest, they didn't want to drop on the same day as Crimson Desert. This is for the Mouse PI game. And yeah, that's a very good point. I didn't even necessarily think about it right there while we were going over it, but that's also a genuine strategy. Let's avoid Crimson Desert that was coming out, March 19th, and let's look towards April instead. Let's get out of the way of that game. Even though they're not, Mouse PI is the old school black and white first-person shooter cartoon-looking game, and Crimson Desert is this massive open-world 3D action RPG adventure game. They're very different, but Crimson Desert is going to eat up a lot of time and a lot of advertising space and a lot of conversation online. Even though Mouse PI, I would say you look at it, looks like strikingly unique. Crimson Desert looks kind of unique in its own way, but I don't know, is there any other game that looks like the Mouse PI game? Not really. Still though, get out of the way of the really, really big game with Crimson Desert. Try to find a nice spot there in April and see if you can have a bigger launch that way. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here on a card. Or maybe you wanted to check out me ordering some games from GameStop with their retro section to see how those titles turned out when they showed up in the mail. I did a video on that. I'll leave it right below. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.